Hi everybody, it's Kimberly from Starfish Design Embroidery Group. Tonight we are stitching out the new ChaChing Mini. So this is a cute adaptation of the ChaChing pouch. So you open it up and it has 2 card slots and then a zipper pocket that serves as also a slip pocket. You actually will turn the entire wallet through this slip pocket or the zipper pocket here. Inside there, I added a tiny D-ring strap placement if you want, so you can just hang this on your keychain or whatever. This is geared for a number 3 zipper. It might work with a number 5, but I had a number 3 in place in mind. I also added a placement for this snap, so you can kind of add that in before you finish your bag, because that way you can hide the snap placement in it. I'm using the KamSnaps, so I don't mind if this one is showing on the outside. Oh, I do have a dimple in that, Linda. Huh, I must have pressed too hard. So I don't mind that, but with the cards, if you're putting your cards in here, I worried that this would scrape on your cards. So that's why I did it that way. What else do I have to say about this? That's all. So it's just a cute little wallet. You can probably double up cards in here. I did put a couple of strips of Decoville Light in here when I was doing this demo, but I don't really think it needs it, so I'm going to skip it on this in this trial. And if you want, you can always top stitch this on your machine if you have a sewing machine. And there we go. So let's get started. So as always, I've already gone ahead and stitched out the placement stitch. And oh, one more thing before we get going. And I got to be fast because I think my battery might die. Where'd it go? I am trialing the new, it's new to me, interfacing from Blue Calla. This is the medium weight. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get a close enough view in there to show you. It doesn't have a whole sheet of glue on it like the Woven Fuse 2 does from Got Interfacing, but there's so much on it. It has the same feel to me as that interfacing. Actually gives a really nice feel to this, and I think it's going to be really great for the cards. So I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but it has come to our attention, a lot of us bag makers and designers, that the owner of Got Interfacing doesn't necessarily represent the same ideals that some of us do. I'm trying to find where I can put this. And I like to put my money behind companies that have similar ideas as me, and hopefully you guys are seeing this okay. I think I have it angled too much, so I won't be purchasing from that merchant anymore, nor recommending them. So I'm on for looking for some other interfacing solutions, and this, I love this. The only drawback is Blue Calla is in Canada. The price is very reasonable, but it is a little bit longer to get to you. So I asked my son to bring a pen over, and he forgot to grab the pen out of the pen holder for me. So hopefully he's hearing me and he will go and do that. So we need a zipper. All the cutting directions are in the pattern. There is only one size for this. It's a mini for a reason. We need these 2 5.5 by 4 inch for the zipper pocket. You need a very long panel, because your bottom of this and your credit card slots is the same as it's going to become your external flap as well. I will show you, there is a step in there if you prefer to use a different material for the flap, the external back and flap. I'll stop you at that point and tell you what to do there. And then we need this strip for the actual lining behind. So let's get this out of the way. I gotta work fast because my battery might die. So I had a little bit of tension issue there. Thankfully it's a small zipper, so we just want to center our zipper tape along this center placement line. I'm using a number 3 zipper today, and I know it's exactly 1 inch, so I can actually just center it between these 2 lines, and I know I'm going to be safe. But not all zippers are 1 inch, which is why I provide you with that center placement line. It's much better to use that to center your zipper. So I'm going to go ahead and lean this against the table here and tape the corner, the end down. And I've already singed that off just so it doesn't unravel while we're working. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and guide this down here and tape the bottom of it. I'm just peeking underneath and making sure it is indeed lined up, and it is. I'll tape the bottom. I'm gonna use blue tape, blue thread, just so you guys can see these steps better. But when I get to the top stitching, I'm gonna switch over to a silver. And there's detailed pictures in the PDF. So, and then you might wanna go ahead and tape your pull down against your hoop so it doesn't, hopefully I'm in the camera view here. I hate when I can't see it. I need to invest into one of those systems where I can see you guys while I'm filming it instead of using just my iPhone. And this is such a short zipper, I'm just gonna do one little snatch on the top there. All right, I turned as much as I could off my phone just to hopefully make sure it doesn't run out. It's actually kind of a fast project. And we're gonna run step 2, which is the tack down. And this just holds it against the stabilizer. I do have poly mesh, no-show poly mesh hooped, but to be honest, you can use tearaway with this because you're gonna be able to tear away the stabilizer from the project. I just don't have any tearaway downstairs, so I'm using the poly mesh. Cut these little strings along the way so they'll get stuck in your hoop and you'll be very mad. My Grayson, can you please give me that pen? My tension was off when I drew this. This is the placement snap, so I need to mark that so I'll be able to see it later. I don't have another pen here, so I need to get some markers or something. Anyway, so now we're going to start with our pocket and our bottom panel, which will form our card slots. So we need one of these guys and your credit card slot panel. So flip to the back side of your hoop, and we want to line up, and there's some centering tick marks here for you. So you can go ahead, and we want a right side facing down. So if you fold your panel in half, you can use that little center tick mark to make sure it's centered. And you just want to line up the bottom of your panel with the bottom of the zipper. And then we're going to tape that in place. Tape is your friend because we do not want to be rushing our fingers inside our machine when we see something start to go loose. So this is 3M transport tape, and you usually can reuse it quite a few times. You can put a piece up here too if you want, but I usually find I don't need that. I just hold it when I flip it over. Let me get this ruler out of your way. It's in that green cup. Okay, and then we're gonna go ahead and take this. Now this is directional. Yes, thank you. All right, he brought me my pen, so real quick I'm gonna just mark my little center placement line so I can see that later. All right, so this is directional. So what you want to do if you have a directional print is you lay it down on the item, the direction it's going to go. In this case, it's on the bottom of our zipper, and then you just flip it over, and then you know you'll have it in the right position. So again, I'm going to fold it in half. So I did treat the bulk of this. Oh, I didn't seal it very well right there. It's coming loose because it was longer than the material. So I'm gonna go ahead and fold this in half and then match up that with my little tick mark so I know it's even. Oh, I forgot to pull the tape off. Make sure you pull the tapes off along the way when you're using tape. You don't want to get stuck inside your bag because it could get gummy over time. My tension looks like it's a little bit off on this. I'm gonna have to spend some time this weekend playing with this. All right, so let me go ahead and put this down and then tape it in place on both sides. All right, And now if your hoop attachment is up there, then roll this up so it's out of the way of the hoop attachment. I'm gonna go ahead and run this in the blue, and then I'm gonna switch over to the gray. All right. Oh, I just realized this missed stitching out because of my tension. It missed my placement line. Sorry about that, guys. I got to go back. You need that placement line. You would know this if I would have went over all the steps with you before I did this. It's in the PDF. I didn't realize it didn't stitch until I needed it. Is this stitched at the end? Oh. Okay, well, I'm gonna just pretend it's stitched, but it's gonna stitch about 1/4 inch above here. Sorry, I cannot get right back to it, but look in the PDF, it's there. So, because the reason you need this is we don't want our pocket to go into that final seam. So when we flip this over, you're gonna fold under the hem for your zipper pocket. So go ahead and finger press your seam here. All right, and then what we want to do is wrong sides together. So fold under, and you want the bottom of your pocket fold to be on that line. So just go ahead and fold it under so it's on that line. And you can use the sides, if you cut your panel evenly, you can use the sides to make sure it's lined up. And then go ahead and tape it down. And then what you can do is once you tape this down, see we're on the wrong side of the hoop, so we don't want to press too hard and set that seam. We risk pushing our hoop undone. So what we're going to do is we're going to get it lined up there, and you're going to see the thread on yours. And then flip it over to the other side, keep it against a firm surface, and now you can finger press that seam. And don't worry if the if this is too long, you can trim it out later, or you can do it now if you want to go ahead and reduce that seam allowance. Just for ease of construction, I made the panels the same size so you don't have to pay attention. So the first panel is going to have a little bit more seam allowance. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and finger press this down. Okay. And then we're going to do our top stitch. So make sure you keep this at a against a firm surface, and then tape it back down again. Okay, so it's against a firm surface. I finger pressed it, and I'm going to go ahead and change to the gray, just because I don't want, there's not really a blue in here that we're going to see, so I want it to look pretty. All right, well, I thought it was going to change to gray. This gray thread is all messed up. And I do have a surprise sitting over here for you guys that I'm going to show you. And I hope you guys are watching the video, because if you are, you're going to hear about the fun surprise. So, you got to watch the YouTube video to find out. All right. Now, I'm going to go ahead and try and thread this. No, of course it wouldn't. I think it's because I have a 90 needle in here. If you're using all cloth, you can probably get away with a 75/11, but I already had the 90/14 in here. So I just left it in there. Try this again. Sorry about this. If it doesn't thread for me the first time, I'll just edit this part of the video out. All right. Okay, I've rethreaded and pulled the bobbin again. Smooth this back down. Let's try this again. Yeah, it was that thread. Did not like that thread. Trim these tails off. All right, so now we're ready to put in our next panels. I forgot to take the tape off of here. So flip it around to the back again. And this time we're going to put down our other panel. And this time we're going to put it facing down and aligned up with the top zipper. And you can just line it up down here with the bottom. And then we're going to go ahead and fold under the hem so it matches the bottom hem. Or I'm sorry, fold over. So wrong sides to wrong sides. And lightly finger crease that, just like you did before. And then tape it in place. Okay, so now we have both of our lining pieces for our zipper pocket. And now we're going to take our main wallet lining and we're going to line that up right side facing. And again, we're going to center it across. Make sure it's even and the top is even with the top of the zipper. And I am really like playing wild tonight using a stripe that may or may not stay lined up. Let's just pretend that it's stitched. I think it's gonna be okay. All right. So now we're gonna go ahead and stitch our tack down, which is step 5. And then we're gonna leave the back alone and just fold up the top to do our top stitch. We don't need to top stitch the back because the way that it's gonna be in the bag, it's not gonna matter. So go ahead and remove these pieces of tape so you don't forget. And then we're going to fold this lining up and hold it against here, and we're going to finger press it. Always hold it against a firm surface. Take it over to your bench or whatever you're using if you have to. And then tape this down to hold it in place while it does the top stitching. Now we're on to number 6, which is the top stitching. I need a new needle. I'm just gonna wing it. See, it's thudding, looping. That's because my needle needs replaced. But we're gonna try and make it through. So now the next thing we need to do is put a seam in our zipper pocket. So to do that, we wanna move our credit card slot and exterior panel out of the way. If you need to tape it down to hold it out of the way, that's fine, tape it. I think I'm okay right now with just having it up there. And it's gonna start just under where your seam allowance is. So make sure, look underneath here and make sure that it hasn't come loose. And then be careful, like my machine likes to go all over the place. So when it's traveling over, see how it did that? If your machine does that, then you can lift up higher in the back if you need to. We don't want it to get stuck. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and turn it around, and with your best applique scissors, remove all this tape. We're gonna trim the pocket close to the seam allowance. I did a nice bean stitch on there, so it should keep the seam really nice and solid. You're not gonna be using this for, you know, carrying marbles. So starting right here, you wanna just kind of, from this angle, curve in like this, and then go ahead and trim about to a 1/8 inch seam allowance. Okay. Much easier to do on the other side if you're right-handed like me. So come in here, trim away. And then pivot out. So the reason we're doing that is because the next thing we want to do is cut this out of the stabilizer. So reach in, make sure your other side is out of the way, and trim as close to the pocket seam as you can. You might have to get up, flip it up to get underneath the stabilizer. We want to try not cut our pocket, but we want our pocket to be a flap. All right, and then down here as well. Again, make sure your card slot on the other side is out of the way. This is why I was saying you can use tearaway, because you're going to be tearing this out, and so you can actually get rid of the stabilizer underneath here if you had tearaway. I'm not going to cut it out yet because I need that placement line to do my pocket. So if you need to put some tape under here to hold it, you can, but I didn't find that was needed when I was doing my first test. This guy's going to stay out of our way for a few steps, so just move him up here out of the way. Tape it if you need to. And now we're going to run our first placement for our first fold for our credit card pleats. And this is where the surprise is going to come in handy. So I'm going to go ahead and run step 8. Make sure this is nice and smooth. And it's gonna be hard to see. I apologize because I'm using the silver thread, but get out of the way. So it's stitched right here, and then there's a little notch there, and it's stitched here, and there's a little notch there. So what we're gonna do after we trim our thread is we're gonna fold up against that little notch, and we're gonna go carefully. We don't wanna pull it out, but we're gonna fold up on it, and then finger press across the bottom. And I am doing a trial. Well, it's not a trial for anybody else. I'm not being sponsored, but I saw this new gadget and I thought, oh, I have to have this. This is a Cricut and it's for HTV. But I thought, what a great idea for us to be able to do the credit card slots and get a nice, smooth, crisp form. Look at that, isn't it nice? So now we're gonna go ahead and fold this up out of the way, and we're gonna go ahead and run our next fold placement. And you'll see that these placements are now outside of that flap area, so your flap is gonna stay loose because we're gonna turn the bag through that pocket. So when I did the first one, I don't remember if it was ChaChing or the Ultimate Wallet, I didn't have this loose and it made it really hard to close it. So I made sure to make it so I could do that. Now here we go. So there's our little notches and you're gonna fold back against those. And then at this point, we're gonna add our, no, not this pocket, the second pocket. We're gonna add our snap at, the second pocket. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and keep it against a firm surface and try and make sure that your sides are even as you're going down, that they're right on top of each other. And so what I'm gonna do again is I'm gonna get my little iron and I'm gonna go ahead and press across this, nice and smooth. And ooh, this is really hot, I just burned myself. I only have it on the medium and it's really hot. All right, and now I'm gonna tape this down because we're getting into a little bit of bulk now. And if I don't tape it down, I'm not gonna be able to maintain my smooth credit card slot line there. It might bunch up when it's moving. So I'm gonna tape this down. And then we're gonna run our next pleat line, which is step 10. So the surprise is I'm gonna do a giveaway. So everybody who buys, oops, what was that? Didn't like that. Everybody who buys this pattern between today, what's today? The 16th and Sunday, so wait, 21, right? Sunday is 21st? Yes. Anybody who buys this bag, this wallet between the time it's listed and Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time zone, we'll go into a drawing and I will give you one of these Cricut mini irons. If you live outside of the United States, then it will be the same amount value of an Amazon gift card because I can't afford to ship internationally, but I don't want my international customers to not be able to enjoy the fun. Okay, so trim. I don't know what happened with my thread cutter earlier. It kind of made a weird noise. Okay, so trim this. And then we're gonna go ahead and fold up for our second, I can remove the tape now, our second slot. And after we fold this one, we're gonna do the, did I miss a step? Sorry. No, this is right. We're gonna do our snap placement. So let me fold this up. And crease that. And then we can get our little iron out. Now be careful because this poly mesh will melt. So don't get it on the poly mesh. It comes with a little silicone holder. And I only have it on the second heat setting. It's cute. Really nice to sit here and hold this. So let's go ahead and run our next pleat line, and then we're going to add our snap placement so it's on the back of that pocket. And you can wait and do the snaps later if you want, but if you want to embed it inside your pocket, then this is what you need to do. And always make sure you're watching where your presser foot's going to go so it doesn't get stuck on any of the pleats. Okay, so now this is a tricky part, but totally doable. So I'm going to take a pin. I had one. What did I do with it? It's just a straight pin. If you have one, which I did have one in here. I really did. Where'd the straight pin go? All I see are needles now. Kimberly, Kimberly, Kimberly. Oh, there's one. Okay, so get a straight pin. I'm going to move the camera so I can see how the battery's doing. We're doing good. Sorry about that. Okay, so now what we want to do is reach underneath your little flap here in your pocket area and look for your your pocket, and put the needle, the straight pin, through that little placement circle. So I don't want to take this away yet. Okay, and you can line it up and make sure that it's still even with your middle, and then just keep it straight up and down and push it through to the other side. Hold, support the material so it doesn't come undone. Okay, and then make sure it looks like it's lined up. And then what you're going to do is take a pencil or a pen and just mark a little X there. So now you know where the center is. Okay, and take your pin out. And now fold back your pleat here against the stitches. Make sure everything is even. Finger press it. Get your little iron out. And I don't have a pressing surface under here because the fabric itself is thick enough, but you can definitely use your pressing surface. Okay, so now fold your pleat just so it's even to mark the placement there. And actually it got the pen on it when I did the iron. Now you can take your hole punch and actually, since I have this iron here, I always support my snap with a piece of Decoville. I can actually go ahead and fuse the Decoville on. Most of the time I just have it sitting in there. But we can actually go ahead and fuse our Decoville right to our material. So just put it right there, flip it over so it's on the wrong side, and use your little iron and go ahead and fuse that. I put it on the outer piece of the material. Okay, and we still can see our little hole there. So I'm going to get my hole punch, and I have to kind of get a little contorted here and mess up my fabric to get it in there, but it works. All right, and then punch the hole up. And this is not a demonstration for hole punching, but I'm just showing you how I do it here. Okay, then go ahead and punch through the hole if you need to. I think my hole punches had better days. Okay, so now I have my hole open, and I have my magnetic KamSnaps. So I'm going to put the receiving end on the pocket, and then the protruding end will go on the flap. So by doing this first, we can hide this snap in our card, or in our card slot. So go ahead and push that through. And you should see it should be lined up pretty nicely. And you can always do a demo test first if you're using a bigger snap and make sure that it's not going to be too far out on there. And then I need my little press here. Change out the... Okay, I'm back. I found the right die.
No, you didn't. I did.
Oh, my son helped me.
So I did all the work things.
So this one has like a little nib on it that fits in this piece. So, like I said, it's a little awkward to do, but it works. Again, you can wait until you're all done with your bag and do it then. If you're afraid of unhooping it or something like that. So what I did was I positioned this like this, and I just kind of tilt this up into it so it's on the side like that, and I'm going to go through both layers of fabric, which is fine, but it actually will magnet lock into place. Did you hear that? So once you hear it lock into place, then go ahead and press. And so you see how I went through the fabric to do that, but it still reached the cap, and you'll see it's snug there. Okay, so now our snap is in place. So now we can go on and finish this bag, this wallet. Okay. So one thing to be careful of, now that you have this on here, you need to be mindful about where your hoop is, your presser foot is going. So if you need to cover this up with some tearaway so that it doesn't get stuck on these flaps, And in fact, I'm getting ready to do the D-ring placement. And in my machine, I know it's going to try and go this. It's going to hit the flaps. So what I do is position it so it's ready to do the next step. And you see where the needle presser foot is now. Then take a piece of tape or a piece of tearaway. I'm going to use tape because we've already established earlier that I don't have any tearaway down here. I'm still not able-bodied enough to get up to my sewing studio yet. I'm working on it, guys. I am. So I'm going to go ahead and put a piece of tape there to hold this in place. All right. And it'll come out. And if you just kind of hold it against the stitches, it'll tear right off. So use your fingernail and it'll come off and you don't have to pull your stitches out. Which I just did anyway. That's okay. Don't do that. But I can see where the hole's at, so I'm okay. Now when you go to place your, and my hole's right there, I'm going to put a pen mark there so you guys can see that. I can see where it's at. You guys can't. Okay. Yeah, don't do what I just did. So when you go to place your D-ring strap connector, if you're using one, it's important that you know how wide your presser foot is because you need to have enough room for the presser foot to get through and bypass the D-ring strap connector hardware. In this case, we're just using a really little one, but still. So I go ahead and I usually do about a 1/2 inch. Works for my machine. And then I go ahead and put a piece of tape here. And then it's going to run a bean stitch that's going to secure this down. And then it'll get stitched on again at the end of the project. And I didn't line mine up very well, but that's okay. This is just to briefly hold it on. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and, what step are we on? 14? Yes, okay. So at this point is the option that I was mentioning earlier. If you don't want, see what's going to happen is we're going to stitch this down and then this is going to fold up here and this is going to be our back of our bag. So, okay. So we stitched it and that's the back of our bag. So that's what we're doing here. But if you want to use vinyl or something else, you'll follow the note in the cutting instructions on how to adjust this panel. So you have your credit card slots and then an exterior panel. At this point, you're going to go ahead and line up your exterior panel. I should have brought a sample to show you. But you're going to line that up so that it bypasses your original die line by 1/4 inch. So here's your original die line. And you're going to line it up so it's 1/4 inch past that for your seam allowance. You can actually even do a 1/2 inch. And then you're going to run step 14. 14 is going to give you a seam to seam this together right along this line. So it's not going to catch your pocket because your pocket is up here. So seam 14 is going to stitch right on this line. And it's going to create a seam for your exterior. So if you want it to be vinyl. We're not doing that. So at this point, we're ready to cut our lining free and fold it to the back. So I know you guys were wondering how we were going to do this, right? How's the lining on the front? Well, this is how we're going to do it. Do not be scared because we only have 2 steps left. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to 15 so I don't forget. So we're going to run 15, which is our final pleat, but we want to do that after we put this on the back. So right now, we want to cut our stabilizer right along here. Now I want to show you something that thankfully my testers caught. When I cut my stabilizer, I cut it down here too. And so when I folded it to the back, you see how I have the zippers almost up there. And I was trying to get it to smoothly flatten, but it didn't work. So don't cut it, just cut it right here and you'll see it'll go right to the back and you'll have your top stitching showing. So let me get it cut. So I'm going to use scissors, and you want to make sure you get where the zipper actually has finished. So just be really careful and don't cut into your zipper. So you see our zipper tack down lines? We can see where it ended right here. So right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut my stabilizer right above there. Oh, my pocket is there. So just try and get it right above your zipper. Do not cut your pocket though on the back. A seam ripper would be easier to do this, but my seam rippers are both dull. So I'm just using these tiny little scissors. I'm just cutting right along that little line. All right, you see that? Right along. And I'm going to finish from behind because I'm hitting this seam allowance in this pocket. It's messing me up from the front. So I'm angling it just so I hit it right there. Okay, you see? Now what you're going to do is push your lining through that carefully so you don't unhoop your project. Pull it through. Okay, now go ahead and smooth out these seams here. So you can go ahead and cut right here to be able to do that. Because we are actually going to end up cutting this little flap out in a minute. So just do a snip there on the sides. And snip here on the sides. And this is in the PDF. All right, and when you do that, now you can fold this neatly on the back and fold it over to the front neatly. Just smooth it out, see? And then smooth it out over here. All right, now it's both even on this side. Oh, this needs, if you need to snip a little bit more like I do over here, just go ahead and snip it a little bit more. And then just make sure it's even. All right, so I'm gonna lay it here and position it evenly with my hand. And this is a time when it probably would help to turn it upside down. So you're looking at it from the other side, so you can make sure it's even. And basically you're trying to get it folded right along the edge of the zipper tape at the top. I don't know why mine doesn't look as neat as my testers. They did a much better job than I'm doing. Okay, that's good. Trim out that little string there. Okay, then go ahead and use your tape. And you see our final seam is going to go here. So just tape this off and hold it in place. All right. All right. See? Make sure it looks even across here. Then turn to the back, and if you need to straighten out a little pucker over here, do that. As long as it's on the other side of the here, it's fine. But then go ahead and tape this down up here just to keep it nice and flat. Because if you don't, when it does the next step, it might try to pull these little flaps up. All right, then carefully turn this over. And again, remember we have this magnetic stamp in here. So go ahead and, oops, my little iron, it told me it went off. Hey, can you bring that closer to me, Grayson? sorry, I'm going to put a piece of tape on both sides because we don't want that to get baggy when we run this next step. So make sure this is nice and tautly folded, and put your piece of tape on it to hold it down. Same on this side. Wow, I can't believe how much this fabric is fraying. This is Tula pink. All right, now it's gonna run the last pleat. And again, we wanna keep an eye on that little metal thing as our machine moves around. So my machine likes to do that crazy up and down and everywhere around. See, I don't want it to hit it. All right, go ahead and trim these things down. I think my little iron went off. Let me turn it back on. All right, I'm going to use it for the last pleat on the bottom. So when you have an iron, a baby iron, it's so much helpful for projects like this when you're doing the in the hoop card slots. Okay, so now let's clean up all this tape up here. Save this big piece because it's reusable. Carefully trim away this tape here by our little D-ring strap connector. I'm sorry if I'm not in the full camera view this whole time. I'm like having a hard time remembering where to position this. Okay. Now it's time to open up our zipper. And actually you can go ahead and trim this out right now if you want first. So I'm just using my remember our final seam is going to be exactly where that was located. So we just don't want to have this stabilizer. If you're using tearaway, then you'll be able to just tear yours away. But since I'm using this, I need to cut it away. But it's okay, don't panic. As long as we're careful, we're not gonna mess up our hoop. So, and actually I think in my instructions I have you do that after you fold this piece up. So let's go ahead and flip this over to the back. And now you have your little pleats, and we're gonna fold this up. And carefully finger press it. This should come to the right at the bottom of that original placement line. Remember, we're on the back of the hoop. We don't want to press too hard. Then I'm going to put some tape up here to hold it. And then I'll flip this over to the other side. And then I'm going to finger crease along that edge really nice. Okay. So now we're ready to go ahead and move our zipper over. Don't forget to do this. Just put it in the middle of the hoop. I'm going to take the tape off because if I leave this in the middle, it's okay. It's not going to get in my way. And now we're going to go ahead and fold up against our last pleat. And again, make sure you try and keep everything as even as you can. Let me move this tape out of the way. Wow, look how much that's shredding. It's really concerning. So again, it should fall right on that original placement line that we did. Just like that. And if you did a really good job, everything should be nice and lined up. All right, I'm going to go ahead and use this little iron and press this down here. Now be careful going around the magnetic snap because I've read that irons can demagnetize them. There we go. Oh, isn't that awesome? So now we have a nice pleat down there. Okay, go ahead and put a piece of tape at the top to hold it in place. And we're ready to run the last stitch, number 16. Now, again, you have another step on here, 17. But we're not going to run 17. 17 is just there to help prevent our needle from going back to the center of the hoop and potentially getting stuck on some of our hardware. 14 needle is very helpful because at this point it's going through a lot of layers. And if you need to use your bamboo stick or pointing device, if you didn't tape it really well, see how you can do that? And you don't put your fingers in there. When it goes over the zipper, sometimes that's a point of contention and it might want to try and travel. All right, now go ahead and turn to the back. Make sure everything looked good. It did. Front looks good. Now we're ready to unhoop. So if you have any tape, go ahead and remove the tape. And I like to go ahead and remove the extra stabilizer first. Oh, where did I put my big scissors? Oh, here, they're here. I actually put them away. So you can reuse the big pieces as stabilizer later. So, and remember, we cut that big piece out, so a lot of it's already cut out. And if you want to, you can reach up inside and cut it out from behind the zipper pocket. It's harder to do with the poly mesh, and I don't want to risk cutting into my zipper pocket, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it. But you can do it. I did it on the other one, but I'm not going to risk twice. Well, it seems a little too scary to try and do that again. But see how if you have tearaway, it would be easy to do because it's right there. And actually, you can actually trim out this piece at least. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and trim around. And we want to go ahead and leave about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And since I have this interfacing on the exterior panel, it's giving it a nice body. Oops, I got a little close there. That's okay. I'm not going to display or just demonstrate putting the final snap on because you guys know how to do your snaps. This wasn't a snap demo video, but I'm going to show you how I do it. All right, so we got the bulk of that all cleaned off. So that there's so much bulk at this corner. Normally I wouldn't recommend cutting the corners, but because there's so much bulk here, I'm going to do that on this bag because if you don't, it ends up making the corner pull in, and you'll see it in my sample. I'll show you. So just go ahead and trim out some of that bulk from the corner on both sides. There's a bean stitch there, so it should be fine, but it'll help us. Okay, I got really close here, so I don't think I need to notch it, but if you notch it or use, this is even better, use pinking scissors along that curve, but I should have done this to begin with because now it's too late. I already trimmed it so tight. But if you use the pinking scissors, it helps distribute that seam allowance so you can get a smoother curve. And I'm not going to use the iron. I don't have the pressing surface over here to do the final ironing. I'll take it over there when I'm done. Okay, so now we're ready to turn it. And you're like, how are you going to turn it, Kimberly? Remember, we left that pocket open. So there's our pocket. So we're going to just go ahead and reach in here and start turning the bag into that pocket. And hopefully I can keep this in the camera so you can see. You're going to turn it into the pocket. Like about halfway into it, you'll be able to reach in and then open up the rest of the pocket. So just keep turning it into the zipper pocket. See that? Oh, I forgot to do the stabilizer again. It's in the PDF. Read the PDF. I forgot to do it. I forgot to do it on my first one. Oh, my Fanta. See, this is what happens when Kimberly forgets to do read the instructions. It's okay. You can still do it now. Totally okay. Just much harder. So what I do is I get it pushed all the way out. And this is when your bamboo stick or your hemostats come in handy. And just push that out as much as you can. So you're basically pushing your whole wallet into that zipper pocket. All right, and then do the other side as well. I really need a cheat sheet. That's what Ricky does. She has her little stitch map with her notes on it, and she goes along it. She's a much better YouTuber than I am. Oh, you guys may not know who I mean. I mean Ricky Gardner from String Theory Fabric Art. She's my embroidery digitizer girl crush because she does all that fan art, and oh my gosh, so amazing. I really need to stitch out some of those designs someday. I just keep buying them. All right, so now that I have that out, I can get my little scissors. I actually would prefer the seam ripper, but my seam rippers, I told you, are dead. Let me see if I can get this one to work. Anybody knows how to sharpen seam rippers? Put in the comments for me, please. I'm thinking there's got to be a way to sharpen them. Okay, so now I can see my blade under here, so I know I'm safe and I'm not cutting my fabric. So I can kind of guide it along there. And see, it doesn't want to go any farther because it's their doll. So I'm going to go ahead and carefully cut this. It's not going to be as clean. Now my tester, Amanda, she actually cuts out the zipper stabilizer before she, after she does this tack down. I tried it once and mine got really loosey-goosey. So I don't know how she does that, but I'm going to try it again another time. So I know I'm not hitting my zipper. I can see my blade underneath there. So I'm okay. So I'm just pulling my, taking tiny little stitches, or stitches? Tiny little cuts at times so I don't cut my zipper. And as long as I can see the blade under there, I know I'm not into the zipper tape. Okay, see? So it's so much easier to do it before this point. And then I'm just going to flip it over to the side and cut at the ends. And then I can do the other side. Yeah, you should have done this at the step before you tack the second part of the zipper panel down. But it is in the PDF when to do it. So follow the PDF as well as the video. I'm away from you guys from the camera for 1 second. Just it's easier for me to do it holding it up closer to me so I don't cut it. So I'm like holding it real close to my chest so that I can see where the scissors are and make sure I'm holding the tension on the stabilizer so I can kind of get as close to the seam as possible. Because you don't want to leave stabilizer in the zipper area because your zipper pull will get stuck. All right. So I just have this tiny little piece right here. So that really wasn't that bad. If you forget, it's not that bad. These are the Takai curved scissors. They're really nice. They're very, very sharp. Really, really sharp. So that's why I'm being so careful here. I feel like I have some of the zipper tape in there, so I want to be very careful. I'm going to pull it aside and put my fingernail in there. All right. Okay, now reach in here and open the zipper the rest of the way. Sometimes with this number 3 zipper tape, I have to like pull it, start to close it before I can push it open. I don't know why. And that's what's happening here. It's like not wanting to open the rest of the way. I don't have this issue ever with number 5, only with the number 3. I don't know why that is. Okay, I'm reaching in here, make sure everything's out of the way. All right. That's what these hemostats are good for. There we go. So I just linked them into the little hook. And then use that to push it open. Still not open all the way, but I think it's enough for us to turn it. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and turn our bag through so that the zipper lining pocket is inside the wallet. I keep saying a bag. This is a wallet. I'm used to doing bags. You guys know what I mean. Okay. And turn it and turn it. So now the tricky part is you have those credit card slots and you have your lining. So you want to make sure your credit card slots are folded correctly and you're not unfolding them as you push this down. And you have your, see, here's the top of your wallet. So go ahead and work your pockets through. So right now my pockets are looking like they're going to be on the back. So I'm going to grab onto that magnetic strap and pull it forward like that. Then use your fingers and get as much of it out as you can with your fingers. And then you can reach in and use your hemostats to, these are the rounded off ones, to do the rest of it. Just push it out. I have a little bit of a loose thread there, so I can use the lighter and singe that off. This side. And so the pocket, the zipper pocket is open inside, so it really lets you get all the way in here and push out all these corners and the sides. Yeah, I hear you. We're all done with you, little iron. I'll do that right now before I forget. All right, so now this is the hardest part, but it's not that hard. All you have to do is pivot your, whatever you're using inside the bag and pull up the inside zipper pocket. So you're going to turn through this, pull this up like that, and then you can get your hemostats up into the top area too. You just have to kind of pivot it behind the zipper pocket. And then you can get up there. But I can't do it today. I did it yesterday. Let me do it with my fingers. So you reach down in here, and then there we go. And then pivot it up here, and now it's in the back, and now you can use it to rub it. If you feel inside, you'll be able to tell what I'm talking about. And then you can kind of rub it along to open this up. Or you can roll it with your fingers from the outside as well. So using a bamboo skewer or these hemostats with the rounded edge is really helpful. And just rub along that seam. And so what I was talking about was rolling it, is just kind of roll it back and forth between your fingers and you'll get that seam out. And then you can crease it with your fingernails. And then of course you want to take it to an iron and do the final pressing. I didn't get it really good right there, so I'm going to try and roll it open with my fingernails until you can see that seam. I'll make sure it's smooth all the way around. Okay, now go ahead and pull your lining out for your zipper pocket. You're going to hand stitch this closed. You can use your sewing machine and stitch it closed, or you can do what I do and glue it closed. And if I can get the glue to come out. This one's fuller. Anybody have a trick for getting the glue to come out when they're like only 3/4 full? Or I mean 1/4 full. Okay, so just go ahead and put the glue along. Get into the corners there. The seam where it folds over. Try and stay as close to the edge as you can. Okay, and then this is where these little clips come in handy. So I just kind of pull it, put my fingers on the side that don't have the glue on it, pull it, and then push it together like that. And I still end up getting glue on me. I don't know how I managed to do that. And then just put some clips here. I'm using Beacon 3-in-1 or Fabri-Tac. And it does take like 24 hours to cure, so that where it's like totally hard, but it has a fast tack where after about 60 seconds, it is strong enough that you can go ahead and flip it inside out. So that's it. That's our pocket. So then go ahead and fix your little credit card sleeves here. And where are all my little test cards? I have a whole bunch of them. Of course, I don't see a single one right here. Grayson, can you bring my wallet from over there on the table, please? Here's one. No, it's on the little table by my recliner. My friend Pam sent me a whole bunch of these little gift cards. So when you go to put your snap on, you want to fill up your card, your wallet, with whatever you're going to carry in it. See, that's already set up, so I can go ahead and push it back in here. And the reason you want to do that is because you want to know where to put your flap, the snap. So if you just put it right here at the edge, then, you know, it doesn't look as good. So you want to float it. And I could have did a better job with this. You'll do a better job. So close it, put some money in here. Put your cards in here. I don't have any more of my special cards in here. All right. And then go ahead and fold it down and put your snap on it. And so what you can do then, make sure you fold it nicely against that zipper. And what you can do is feel for your little snap right there and get your pen. How did I lose that pen already? I swear I would lose my head if it was not attached, y'all. Remember, I had that pink pen. Okay. Well, I don't have the pink pen anymore. Anyway, so what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and fold it down to where your comfort is. And then I'll just use this pin and reach through and mark where I want to put my snap. So I should have folded this back a little bit more. So the more you fold this back, the more you can bring your flap down. And then pull it down and put your snap on and you're all done. So let me go ahead and do that as long as we're here. So remember, when you put your snap, you want the protruding end. And I should have put some Decovil behind that. I forgot to do that. All right. And so now we need the other piece of the die set that has the recessed piece, the recessed in opening. So this is going to fit right inside there. And hopefully it will not get a dimple in it. Yeah, if I, you know, I'm gonna fold up some of this. Linda and I noticed the same thing. She got a dimple in it on hers when she did it. And I'm wondering if it's the fabric is not thick enough. I'm gonna put this inside. So it'll actually magnet into it. Nope, I still got a dimple. Huh. In order to get it thick enough. So you want to put some extra, if you're going to use these, put some extra interfacing in there before you close it up. All right, so there we go. All done. ChaChing Mini. Okay, and who remembers the trick or the surprise bonus this weekend? Anybody who buys this between now and Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time will get entered into a drawing for the little Cricut HTV mini iron. Again, if you're not in the United States, you'll get a $50 Amazon gift card instead, or however much it cost. It might be $35, I can't remember. However much it costs, you're gonna get that amount gift card. Okay guys, thanks a lot. I hope you liked the video. As always, I'm a hot mess. I should have named my channel Hot Mess Express, but I hope you got enough out of it to make the pouch. The wallet, it's cute. It'll fit in your pocket easily, so you can just take, just a couple IDs with you and you're set to go. Thanks guys, bye-bye.